Joe Call recently retired as a high school football coach here in the Lowcountry. Now he's the director of football operations at the Citadel. I talk one-on-one with the coach for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Joe Call, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's nice to be here, and we set this up a while ago, but nice to finally get to chat with you.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I know that obviously you are a retired high school football coach from one of the top schools here in the Lowcountry, and now you are the director of football operations at the Citadel. Let me ask you this, Coach. What got you from being a retired high school football coach to now the director of football operations at the Citadel?
Well, 20 years ago, I played football here at the Citadel, and I graduated from here in 2002, and I went straight into high school coaching. And after 20 years in the high school, level, I had the opportunity with Coach Thompson here at the Citadel to come back in an off the field role. So I've always been an on the field coach. So the director role is for football operations is off the field. So he had a spot come open, and timing worked out on his end and my end as well. And I was looking for a change after 20 years. Kind of always had that itch to want to be involved with a college, and not just any college, but back home where I'm from, where I graduated from, right here in Charleston at the Citadel. So it was just right time for me and for my family, and worked out for Coach Thompson as well.
And let me ask you this. What is the biggest difference about football from 20 years ago to right now?
I would say just, it seemed like 20 years ago we were just starting to scratch the surface on not only the strength and conditioning aspect, but then the whole player development. And over the years, that whole thing has grown, not through just lifting weights and being in shape. It's involved more of really kind of, growing your body mentally, physically. Nutrition has gotten really important, all the way through even the high school level, all the way up through every level. So that's the biggest change within football. The game itself is kind of evolved a little bit, but mostly the changes have been made off the field. What people are doing during the off season. It's no longer just summer training and then getting ready for the fall season. I mean, it's year round. And it's a constant process. Not just in college, but in high school too. And a lot of there's some good and bad with that. I will add as well. I think a lot more kids have gotten away from being dual sport athletes because more of the seasons are year round, and they feel like if they're not doing their main sport all the time, that they're falling behind. So that's a little unfortunate because we do like to have guys who are dual sport athletes. We feel like it helps them kind of be well rounded, and and I think a lot of that has kind of gotten lost over the last couple of years, really.
And Coach, let me ask you this: what are the forces taking place in college football that have made such a position like yours an important one on the staff, like at the Citadel?
I think it's having somebody who can really assist the coaches for some of the things that they need to get done off the field. For specifically like when we have camps, where we have kids coming on campus and kind of help them with junior days and help them with recruiting visits and stuff like that. The coaches, they have their time where they go out recruiting and stuff like that. But, really while they're here on campus, a lot of their time they're focused on X's and O's and game planning and getting ready for the season and practice planning and studying their film and things like that. And what I'm able to do is kind of take some of those things off their plate. Right. And any way that I can assist Coach Thompson, really kind of be his right-hand man, being able to get things, different events set up for him, and really, be ready for when those guys come on campus so the coaches can just do their thing, so they can just kind of step in with the recruit and not have to worry about all the videos being set up or all the locker room being set up, everything like that, all the photo shoots done and things like that, because that's social media is such a big part of it. And really, I'm more of a liaison between a lot of different things. And so that's where a job like mine is so important. I'm connected with the equipment staff, the sports medicine staff, the video staff, the Citadel Football Association, the Citadel Brigadier Foundation. I mean, so I'm a little bit of a liaison, and then on campus, connecting up with some of the administration.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of everything. Yeah, yeah, yes, sir. And that's some of my questions in this particular interview. How do you manage and execute operational matters related to the Citadel's football program and its student athletes?
Yeah, so the challenges here at the Citadel with being cadets and having the military side of it, there definitely has to be that connection of the whole student athlete. And me having been here and graduated from here, I have been through a lot of the stuff that the current players are going through, so I can kind of help guide them through that and through some of those conversations with them about things that they're struggling with, or if they need help with certain areas around campus, like with our academic success center, or even something through the military side. I'm able to kind of help with those connections, kind of bridge the gap, so to speak.
Yes, sir. And let me ask you, what team travel arrangements have you made thus far?
Well, most of the team travel, we have an athletic trainer, Andy Clausen, who's been here for over 40 years, and he always handles a lot of the all the travel, the hotels, where we're staying, all the food, and he's always done that. So I just kind of assist him with that. I really kind of stay out of his way with that kind of stuff. But where I help with some of the travel stuff is with our coaches who are going on the road recruiting. They need or we have like official visits coming in. If they need hotel reservations, or if they need car rental stuff. We have coaches that will be flying all over the East Coast here in the next couple of weeks, and just kind of helping them make sure things are taken care of when they get to where they're going to recruit. So that's kind of where I can assist. But our daily, our weekly travel, like when we're taking away games or even at home games, we stay at a hotel on Friday night too. So that kind of stuff's been taken care of, and we have to do that way in advance, and that's something Andy's always done. So it's I can just be part of the assistance in that. And when those days get here, that's where I'll do more of the making sure buses are on time and making sure things are set up at the hotel or the visiting team wherever we're going.
And I know that I'm being a little nosy here, Coach, but what travel plans and schedules for the coaches have you put together for recruiting or attending professional development seminars?
A lot of times our coaches will attend, and a couple of those are coming up in a few weeks, but there's a national coaches clinic every year in January, and it's in different locations. Some years it's in Nashville, some years in San Antonio. A lot of and it's a conference put on for all. It's American Football Coaches Association, so it's put on for all levels of football. A lot of college coaches go to it. They have guest speakers every year, and it's just an opportunity for coaches to have that professional development, to learn, to grow, to network with other people, and you kind of seeing what other people are doing. Football has always been one of those type sports where you don't really invent something new that hasn't been done yet. You just kind of go pick up a few ideas here and there, and that's what the clinics are for. And then a way for our coaches to develop is to be better on-field coaches. During June, our coaches will attend and work other college camps, whether if it's a mega camp where there's a lot of different schools there. You're helping run the camp, run the different drills, kind of work on, learn skills from other coaches and pick up little drills and, from them. So it's all part of the professional development. So when we do get to the season, for us, we have a whole network of skills and drills and stuff like that to be able to use to implement, especially within the type of offensive scheme that we run here. So we're always looking for little ways, and depends on too how rules change. So our coaches, some blocking rules. Just for instance, just to give you a little example here, blocking rules have changed, and with our offense, being a predominantly running offense, blocking out on the edge, so to speak, outside the box in space has changed. We can't block low; you got to stay high. So that's going to bring in a lot more techniques that we have to teach our players, so they're ready to go for that, and so we don't violate any of those rules during the game.
Yeah, and what techniques are you looking at currently right now?
Well, really with our wide receivers and our running backs, it's hard enough just to block in space. And one of the rules that was previously, you could engage a defender low, and now you can't do that anymore for safety reasons, and it's a good rule. But so you got to really just work on kind of changing their whole mindset of starting with their feet, with their base, and how they are really going to get in position to be able to block and to be able to make that seal block on the edge to let our running backs be able to have a breakaway run, stuff like that. So that's some of the stuff that they're working on right now.
Wow. And what is your communication currently with the committed student athletes thus far?
For me coming in just a few months ago, I've really started to get to know the players. I came in right during spring practice, so I got to really kind of meet a lot of them. A lot of them stopped through my office because there's only two of us here on staff that are graduates, and it's me and Dominic Allen. And so a lot of times the pros would come to us and say, "Hey, what was it like, 20 years ago when you were here? And did you ever have to, walk tours or stuff like that?" So it's really been good to kind of get to know these guys more, on a personal level, before the season, the hectic season and all that, and kind of getting to know them on the run, and that's been a big difference for me as well, because, I've only been around, for my professional career for 20 years, high school age kids, seeing them as 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. And now these guys are 19, 20, 21, 22, so they're adults, so it's been a little bit different. The conversations are a little bit different. These guys are looking, really kind of facing them right in front of them is life, and getting out into the real world, getting a job, having a career, and having a family, and so a lot of the questions and conversations I have now are concern those areas. Whereas in high school, they were, "Hey, do you want to go to college? Do you want to go into the military? Do you want to go to the, what are you going to do after high school?" And now it's time to get to these guys are looking, real life right in the face, so it's a little bit different conversation.
Absolutely. And what other conversations are you having with these athletes?
Well, some of them are going to decide to go into the military, and so we're having those conversations about what that'll look like, and what those what kind of career they'll have in the military, and where they're going to live and see the world, and things like that. And obviously, when there's conflict going on in our world, there's a lot of concern there too, and so they just want to kind of they just need some reassurance there. And then you have guys who are getting ready to get their MBA, enter a graduate program with the MBA, and they're really want to jump into the business world and use their connections. And they talk to me about maybe some of the guys that either I played with or graduated with who are running companies now who have a real high net worth, and they want to be involved with, and then how do they do that? So those are the type of conversations.
And speaking of business, let me ask you this, Coach. How have you coordinated an annual student athlete development plan?
I've really become part of one here, so there's always been one in place. And one of the first things I did here when I got here is met with our career services, which is all about, getting our, planning all of our cadets here at the Citadel for their future. And, they, being part of those conversations with how that actually happens, and how I can be a part of that, and how, because they start with their knob year, their freshman year, and really learning how to have those interview skills, learning, taking, basic finance classes and business classes that are going to help, so they start that early. And me being a part of the process where is I'm trying to include career services with that information, even to our high school kids that we're recruiting, because I want the parents and them to know, hey, if you decide to come to the Citadel, this is how we're going to help you develop your career for your life after you graduate, with a degree that matters, from the Citadel, and how you can, put that to use and really take advantage of that.
And let me ask you this too. I know you just got there, Coach, but how many particular high school players from your previous school do you want to recruit to the Citadel?
Here at the Citadel, when we recruit, we have to we cast a real wide blanket. We have so many alumni. I'm going to try not to give you too long an answer here, but we have a lot of alumni, obviously all over the Southeast, and we want to reach all those corners. And that's one of the things I'm making sure I help our coaches do, is reach those areas where we have people who will help us in their area recruit kids to come to the Citadel, because I mean, it's not easy to be at the Citadel. It's a different lifestyle. It's not one that young kid, not every kid can be here and can survive and do well here. And having those people, our alumni that are out around, can help us identify and have those conversations, those positive conversations with those kids about what it's truly like to be here. Not just a school where they're going to play football. You have to come to the Citadel because you want to be at the Citadel, because you want, you choose this lifestyle. You choose that you have to, not just football or academics, but you have the military side of it as well. And what's really big here in Charleston is the community side. So you have to, kind of be fully well-rounded with being a part of this whole community here in Charleston. So, that's one way. But to answer your questions specifically, I've had conversations, whether I was at Somerville or Oceanside, with kids all the time about the Citadel and what the Citadel entails, and what you have to do to be successful here. And so I've had those conversations. I've had former players that have chosen to come to the Citadel. I fully expect some of those kids, because of the relationships I have with them and the parents and what they know about the Citadel, they'll try to come here, and and hopefully they'll have players that we can recruit. And certainly one of the areas that, me being a Lowcountry guy my entire life, I really am going to double down with the Lowcountry and help our coaches really make sure we're identifying all the kids, and because we have some great schools and great kids here in the Lowcountry. And this is our home. The Citadel is their home school, with football down here, right here, downtown Charleston. So, we want to make sure, and the more local kids that we have that want to come here and be a part of the Citadel, whether if they're a scholarship kid, whether if they're a walk-on, or whether if they're just a student, is going to really rally the entire Lowcountry, the community around the school and around this city, and really kind of pull us all together. So the more that's involved, the more connection there is all the way around. And, if you start bringing, kids from the local schools, then a lot of their coaches can come on Saturdays and watch them play. A lot of their friends, a lot of their families. So, it just kind of builds the entire environment.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, when it comes to recruiting, Coach, what are those areas in recruiting that you all haven't touched yet that you want to touch on right now?
We really focused on our in-state recruiting through the first couple of weeks. And as our coaches go out next week, they're going to really, we wanted to make sure. So we've kind of answered, I'm going to answer your question, because we've kind of identified, all right, we needed to make sure we had coaches in every high school in South Carolina. So instead of having instead of having 3 or 4 coaches recruit the entire state, we now have 10. So that enables our coaches to make sure we're in every single high school. And I think the good programs make sure they are visible in all the high schools within your state. Whether that school has a kid you want to recruit or not, you build those relationships. And it all comes down, trust is built through relationships with people. And, if a school and a coach in a high school knows that you're not just stopping by because they just happen to have a recruit this year, but you're stopping by because, you have a relationship with that coach that you want to continue for years and years and years, because eventually they're going to have a guy that you're going to want at the Citadel, but you have a good enough relationship and they have enough trust in you to know that, they're here no matter what. And when I was a high school coach, it was easy to identify the college coaches, the colleges that were like that. And that's what made those schools the most successful ones, because they would come by and have good relationships with you and reach out to you and communicate with you, whether if you had a recruit or not just on the years when you had a 5-star recruit.
That's exactly right.
That we had identified that we've already kind of improved. And so now it's just all about, spreading that blanket and really reaching out and making sure we continue to establish those relationships right now with the coaches, parents, players, and all over our recruiting areas.
And what are the other recruiting areas that you're looking at right now?
We really, our coaches have a really good background in the state of Georgia, the state of North Carolina, and even all the way down into Florida. So some of our coaches have coached at different spots they've recruited those areas at previous schools, so they have great relationships through those states. So being where we are here in South Carolina, we got to really make sure we not only take care of our state in the Lowcountry, but really reaching out to that North Carolina, Georgia, Florida area, kind of really take advantage of I-95, going up and down, and our coaches certainly know their ways, and we make sure our recruiting coordinator, Coach Liam Smith, he does a great job of making sure our other coaches are in areas they're comfortable with and already have previous relationships with, so they can continue those from the previous school that they were at to here.
And what way, Coach, do you track the progress for activities in career and personal development and community engagement?
Are you talking about like after they leave the Citadel?
Yes, sir.
That's all tracked through our career services, and they produce data that I'll actually be using for our junior day to really show our players, hey, this is what the previous students have done here. This is what when you graduate from here, this is the percentage of kids who already have a job before they graduate. 87% of our students, seniors, have jobs before they walk across the stage, set up. And, starting salaries is always important. So, our career services really kind of helps us track where everybody goes from here. That way we can have a lot of information, a lot of data to give, not overwhelm parents and high school kids with data, but to show them, hey, you're going to get a job, when you graduate from the Citadel, and this is probably what you're going to make starting salary, so that's kind of what's important for them immediately. And then, another way we track that is through, a lot of, with the alumni being so connected all the time. There's always opportunities for internships with guys who were here, and now they may be running, these multi-million-dollar companies who hire Citadel interns and who hire. So it's a constant circle of Citadel men and women kind of looking after each other and hiring each other. And anytime a Citadel resume comes across their desk, that goes to the top, because it's the connection. So that's kind of how we track it, and how our career services really kind of helps maintain that full circle going, kind of circulating all the time.
And speaking of money and data, Coach, what is the current football operations budget?
Oh, wow. It's a combination of a lot of different things. So it could be higher one year based off of, we usually play a big FBS team every year, and some, they'll, write you a big check to come play them, and that really kind of, puts in for your entire budget for the whole next year. So that's kind of changing. We have a Citadel Football Association who kind of provides some funds to kind of help with a lot of different, little loose ends there. We have the Citadel Brigadier Foundation that comes in. So we also, being a public school, so we get a little bit, so that kind of budget kind of changes. But, depending on who we play and what kind of check we get from it, that kind of helps the budget for all of our sports, especially, football.
And are there any funding amendments that you're looking at right now?
Not really. I haven't really been here, I guess, long enough to really kind of get into that kind of stuff. So I'm just, supporting a lot of things that are happening now, and the longer I'm here and the more I learn, the more I'll be able to kind of help on that end.
And I know we talked a little bit about this earlier as we were talking about junior day and some other things, but how are you monitoring and actually approving the assigned area spending to ensure compliance with the state, federal, BOR, and generally accepted accounting principles and college procedures?
Yeah, we have a whole, whether the Citadel has a lot of procedures that are in place, a lot of rules that we have to follow, a lot of paperwork things like when we do have kids on campus and stuff, and also all of our coaches have to be we have to pass an NCAA certification test to make sure we know what the rules are, and we have a great compliance office here at the Citadel. We have to run everything through them. Whether if it has to do with football or through recruiting or through getting kids on campus. And then, of course, the Citadel has their own set of, procedures that we have to follow as well. So it's that's a different side of it that I've really had to kind of be thrown into and learn coming from high school. You had your rules at the high school and then within the high school league. And so now it's, rules within the Citadel and within the state and within, the NCAA. So and thankfully, I'm not just kind of hung out there to drive by myself. There's a lot of people who've been here for a long time who are kind of helping guide me in that process.
And that is amazing. And That's a complicated question, but how do you go about managing the scholarship calculations in collaboration with Coach Thompson and his staff?
Yeah, so we have every staff really puts out how many players at each position that we need on our team. And you can have a roster of 110. Now that's not your game day dress out roster. That's just whether if it's practice and practice players and stuff like that. So it's based off of our recruiting for the year says, okay, we need to sign 3 offensive linemen. So we're going to make sure where our needs are at. So we kind of track each position. So we just don't go out there. It's not like the NFL draft where you're just trying to draft the best prospect. We're not just going to say, hey, we want to take the 3 best Well, we may only need 2 quarterbacks because we also need 3 offensive linemen. We need 4 wide receivers. We need 2 defensive linemen. So, and based off of who graduates and who comes back or who enters transfer portal, those numbers are constantly changing, but we keep an updated, spreadsheet kind of going with what our numbers do so we stay balanced because we don't want to have, too many in one position and not enough in another, so we try to stay balanced there. So there's a good, and so that's something I'm able to kind of help Coach Thompson, when it gets into the recruiting side of it, when our coaches are recruiting, saying, hey, we're really looking, let's see if we can identify, certain positions, you know what I mean? So it's a lot different process than kind of really what I knew from high school. I would just have a good player and wonder why a school wasn't offering this player. Well, they might not necessarily had a need at that position. You know what I mean? So there's a different side of the coin here. From a high school side, you're thinking a fantastic player, and all your parents are like, "Why is that kid hasn't been offered by who?" It's like, well, now I see that there might not be a need. And it's nothing personal against a fantastic player, but colleges recruit off of need, not like an NFL draft where you just take the best player.
That's exactly right. And speaking of which, Coach, how will you actually determine trends, estimates, and significant changes and provide some reports of findings and recommendations to perform analysis?
Well, we do, all of our, it's kind of a hard question for me to answer right now, to be honest with you, because I haven't, really kind of been able to dive in. We have people who do that. That's not really my role in to establishing those types of trends. But, we have people within our financial offices, within our athletic kind of management system, over the assistant athletic directors, and that side of things, who, people who are in the compliance office, who are in the budget and control, they kind of establish those trends and really kind of take that off of our plate. And they just kind of, end up giving us the reports and necessary information that we need. So,
Wow.
So it's kind of hard for me to answer that because that's not really my area, and that's one of the nice things too about, college to high school is there's really kind of somebody for everything. Okay, so you don't like in high school you would have to kind of do a whole analysis of all that kind of stuff. Whereas in college there's somebody for that. And then it enables people to really take whatever their specific job is and do it really well. And try to, instead of somebody trying to do a whole lot of things, you can take your thing and be really good at it.
You're exactly right. And I know this is a basic question, but what do you miss about high school football?
Probably not. They're getting ready the high schools are getting ready to start spring practice. And, I know what the coaches in high school are doing right now to get prepared. I know you're moving the JV kids, the young kids who played at JV. This will be their first time. So what kind of nerves are going on there. And, once the Friday nights into the season get here, and it's going to be there's going to be Friday night football going on, and I'm not going to be involved in that. I am, but in a different aspect, but not directly on the sidelines. I think that's kind of what I'll end up, missing. First is because that's all I've ever known is Friday night football. In high school football, whether if I was a kid with my granddad growing up on the sidelines and all the way through being a player and a coach. But it was I was ready for a change, but I think, when those Friday nights hit, it's going to be a little different. Like, hey, there's football going on and I'm not involved, so that's going to be a little hard to get used to. But on the flip side, there will be college football on Saturday that I am involved with, and that's going to be nice.
Nice.
That's going to be nice. So it's with change is a little bit of adjustment, and so I'm looking forward to the change.
This is going to be a silly question for you, Coach. Well, what's one school that you wish you could have played while you were a high school football coach?
When I came through in the '90s, there was a team in the upstate, Burns High School, that was really good, and they were winning a lot of state championships, and we never got a chance to play them. There's teams up there, Gaffney and Dorman. We played those teams. We played Rock Hill and Spartanburg and stuff like that, but we never got to play Burns, and that's where Marcus Lattimore, who played at South Carolina, he's from Burns, and a lot of great players. But we never got that opportunity to play them. So I think they look at it, because I knew Coach Bentley. Bobby Bentley was the coach, and he's now a college coach as well. So he kind of took the same kind of route that I'm taking now. But he always said, we always want a little piece of Somerville, and we never got it. So looking back on it, it's like we never got to play Burns, but that would have been a fun one. But definitely the coaching. When I became a coach, we got to play Dutch Fork High School, which is Dutch Fork and Fort Dorchester, or some of in Gaffney. So we got to coach against some of these big schools, and we've played some out-of-state teams, coached against some out-of-state teams. That's always fun. But the right here in state, would have always liked to be able to play against Burns.
Yeah, that. Yeah, man. I know the feeling. Well, Coach Joe Cole, thank you so much for your time, and again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
Oh, likewise. I appreciate it greatly.